So these recent chapters of the Dandadan has been quite crazy. So Momo, Gigi, and others are on a plane, and during their flight, they are confronted by the Kito family. During their confrontation, Vamola activates empty space. While empty space is active, Momo, Gigi, Zuma, and Psycho fight off against the Kito family. However, during the fight, the plane is suddenly attacked by flying sharks. Yes, you heard that right, flying sharks. We then find out that they are near a typhoon. And not just that, but this is no ordinary typhoon. The typhoon is a Uma. It is basically a living typhoon. The typhoon has an ear, mouth, nose, and a giant eye in the middle. The flying sharks that are in the typhoon starts to crash into the plane. Luckily, Vamola in her kaiju suit blocks an open hole with her body. Momo and the others and the Kito family decide to work together to fight off against the typhoon. Naki, the leader of the Kito family, then summons a new Mongolian death worm. The Kito family then ride the worm and use the worm to eat the sharks and spit back out at the typhoon. During one chaotic moment outside of the plane, Momo is almost blown away, but is saved by Zuma. The typhoon's nose then shoots out two sharks, which then blows part of the death worm's body in half. Momo then uses her powers to grab onto the worm before it could float away. Now Momo, Gigi, Zuma, and the Kito family are separated from the plane. Momo is now using her powers to control the direction of the worm and fly it like a kite. Soon they float away above the eye of the typhoon. Gigi then fires his evil gun at the eye, however the typhoon heals itself. The typhoon then attacks by using lightning attacks. Momo then has the Kito family use the worm to eat the sharks and spit it back out at the eye of the typhoon in order to act as a shield. Gigi then fires his evil gun towards the sea, however it isn't enough. But Zuma comes in and helps Gigi out, and they fire towards the sea. After that, the typhoon is finally defeated and it disappears. Meanwhile on the plane, Daiki decides to take control of the plane in order to save Zuma and the others. We also learned that Daiki's father was a pilot. Back with Momo and the others, instead of going back to the plane, the Kito family are instead planning to bring Momo, Gigi, and Zuma back to their hideout. Then a large shark pops out of nowhere, and the worm goes inside the shark's mouth. Luckily, Momo, Gigi, and Zuma manage to get away, but at the same time, Gigi's evil eye comes out. Evil Eye then kicks the shark upwards. The Evil Eye, Zuma, and Momo start to fall down. Zuma then grabs onto Evil Eye, and then Momo uses her powers to act as a parachute. The good news is that the plane returns and Momo uses her power to grab onto the plane, safely making it back inside. And thanks to Daiki, the plane then makes a safe landing. Everyone then makes it back to their seat and soon empty space then ends, returning everyone back. Meanwhile, the Kito family appear to have now landed on the moon. Next, we then see the Serapos again, and then we find out that the Serapos are the ones that teleported the typhoon from the Philippines to Japan, which is crazy to think about. The Serapos then say how Momo is a very dangerous being and how they would rather not get near her, but also say that maybe their best chance against her would be through hand-to-hand combat. They then mention that if they don't do something soon, Momo will then be taken by Count Saint Germain. They even mention that it will be necessary to send a great number of troops. Finally, we then cut back to Okuran, Ira, Kinta, and Rin again. Kinta then highlights that the situation is not done yet, after Ira informs him both Murakami and Koki were instructed by someone to gather abilities. After Okuran learns that there is someone attempting to steal Momo's powers, Kinta takes the opportunity to explain the concept of organized crime and outsourcing that applies to everyone hired to steal powers. Although Okuran believes this will hinder them from finding the mastermind, Kinta argues that it is not possible, asserting that the mastermind will eventually begin to falter and that what is crucial now is to maintain strong connections with allies. At the end, we then see Manjiro, arrive and say this master, aka Psycho, ordered him to give something to Okaran. And that is that. These last couple of chapters were really great, especially the battle against the Typhoon Human or Typhoon Monster. And it's really cool to see that the series finally reached its 200th chapter. Very cool to see that, also very interesting that different factions are going after Momo Ayase, like obviously the Kito family, the Serapos, Count Germain. And also speaking of the Serapos, I'm very happy that they are gonna play a much more bigger role again in the future, and that they are still a major threat. So can't wait to see more of them again. And yeah, and it's really crazy that the Serapos are the ones that actually moved or teleported the typhoon from the Philippines to Japan. So yeah, can't wait to see how things will play out in the future in Dandadan.